Hi guys, so Michael Gove was in Parliament on Monday delivering his speech on Brexit, on the progress of Brexit. And of course after, which was more interesting, was the question and answer session from parliamentarians. Now, a number of different MPs asked questions, but one particular MP, Iain Duncan Smith, who I sometimes refer to as the placeholder politician, he asked an interesting question. And of course, Michael Gove didn't really respond to it, but didn't answer it, but he did respond to it. But let's hear what the question was.
Mr. Speaker, can I thank my right honourable friend for his statement? And I think he's right, because in the whole agreement, it was clear that both sides needed to negotiate in good faith with a view to reaching an agreement. And it's quite clear throughout, as I could see it, that there...
How can you say that the European Union did not negotiate in good faith? For decades, Brexiteers like Iain Duncan Smith and the British media were vilifying the EU. And the EU said, look, even though you're a member, you're leaving, we're going to sit down and we're going to negotiate with you as an equal, because you're a member, for the withdrawal agreement. Now, once the withdrawal agreement was signed and agreed, you left that status. You're not a member anymore, so we don't have to treat you like a member anymore. And the Brexiteers have a problem with this.
Refusal, for example, not to engage on services, financial services, which are 80% of our economy, but determined to get a deal that gives them the majority of theirs, which is trade in agri-products, is not good faith. Will he now explain to us exactly how he intends to go forward with regards to the problems in the withdrawal agreement that now will be outstanding even if we make no trade deal?
So Iain Duncan Smith is complaining that we didn't talk enough about services. He's the same Brexiteer that was going on and on about how the fishing industry is so important. We must protect the fishing industry. Fish, 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 fish. This is what the Brexiteers were banging on about for months and years. The fishing industry, we must protect the fishing industry. And people like me said, yeah, but what about the service industry? The service industry makes up much more of the UK economy. Even Iain Duncan Smith pointed out 80%. And now he's complaining that we didn't talk enough about the service industry. Wouldn't you think that the Brexiteers would have put that at the top of the list of things to talk about, things to negotiate with Michel Barnier? No, they put fish at the top of the top of the list.
Well, my right honourable friend makes two very important points. The first, of course, relates to the approach that the European Union has taken. And as I mentioned earlier, even while I've been at the dispatch box, it has been reported that there has been a constructive move on the part of the European Union, and I welcome that. And
so what he's actually talking about, I'll just show it you here. This is a tweet that happened around the same time as Michael Gove was speaking. It says here, just spoke to David Frost. So this is Michel Barnier tweeting. I just spoke to David Frost. As stated by President von der Leyen on Friday, I confirmed the EU remains available to intensify talks in London this week on all subjects and based on legal text. We now wait for the UK's reaction. So nothing has changed. What is Michael Gove talking about? Yes, I'm happy that they have moved. Maybe I'm missing something here. I don't know.
And obviously, we need to make sure that we work on the basis of the proposed intensification that they propose. And I prefer to look forward in optimism rather than necessarily to look back in anger. But he does make the point that the difficult period that we've had over the last few weeks has been as a result of some on the EU side not being as energetic as we have been.
So the Brexiteers in Michael Gove and David Frost were energetic to get a deal, while at the same time saying, yeah, we're willing to walk away without a deal. Like, how can someone say to you, I really care about a deal, but at the same time I don't care about a deal? Because they're using it as a bargaining chip. They're using it as a tactic
to reach agreement. He also makes an important point about the withdrawal agreement and making sure that we iron out all the difficulties in it. That's part of my role.
Iron out the difficulties? You're talking about 80% of the UK economy that hasn't been mentioned. I've yet to hear a mention of the service industry in any of the discussions regarding Brexit in Parliament. It's all about fish. It's all about taking back control. It's all about vague language, and there's no mention of the service industry. They've also talked about, well, if we don't get what we want, we're going to the WTO. We'll go to WTO rules. To hell with the European Union. We'll go to WTO. But the problem with the World Trade Organization is that it doesn't really cover services. It covers goods, but it doesn't really cover services. So how are you going to trade with the European Union if you don't have a trade deal with them? If you're just going with WTO terms? Once again, fishing is not going to save the UK economy. The service industry is much more important, but it's never talked about. Why? Because Brexiteers don't give a crap about it, or they don't understand it. I don't know which is worse. The idea that you have senior politicians representing the government banging on about fish all the time and ignoring the service sector is criminal. How is it possible that they're able to do this? I really don't understand how we've got to a stage where you have a Brexiteer like Iain Duncan Smith standing up in Parliament asking, what about the service industry? What are we, 10 weeks before the end of the transition period? And the response from Michael Gove is, yes, we're going to iron it out. We're going to find something. Yeah, we'll fix it. Don't worry about that. How do these people get into power? I ask myself sometimes. Who the hell votes for people like this? Do you understand that they have no understanding of how international diplomacy works, how trade negotiations work? Is it back to this, if you believe enough in Brexit, then you will succeed? This is going to be a disaster. I think there's a huge risk that the UK will crash out without a deal, not because Boris Johnson has decided that, but by accident. I still believe, there's a strong chance that Boris Johnson will get some sort of bare bones deal, something that he can sell to the public. Look, we have succeeded. Victory, peace in our time. But there still is a chance that all of these shenanigans, all of this time wasting, will run down the clock and the UK will leave without a deal. There is still a good possibility of that. And Boris Johnson will be a bit of a fluster. Once again, it's amazing that Iain Duncan Smith is the Brexiteer who's asking at the 11th hour, what about the service industry that makes up the vast majority of our economy? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?